there's a live on there. So that's a good news, I guess. Oops. Oh, that's not so bad. Don't seem to be getting an image though. Without playing it yet. Let's see what it looks like now. Sending a message through all sorts of computers in order for it to start up there. I think that's something. And we also have to restart the stream factor and on Rumble maybe. Don't know how Odyssey works. It probably through a cell phone, I guess. We shall see. Huh? We'll see together because it's up there, kind of starting up. Been singing all around the world something to get back to me. Basically, it's sending a signal away, and then it's coming back. Well, maybe it's coming back. Maybe I should hit reset. There it is. Well, there's a delay, that's all. It's just a delay then. This sounds fine. Alright. So, at the worst, anyone seeing this live will see this a little after I say it. Okay. We'll first talk about this is the Black Jester. Gulik Budai at the Black Jester Matters episode 69. The Black Jester History Day special live. And, well, what can I say? Happy Black Jester History Month Day, or Black Jester History Day. Yes, when a brilliant fellow becomes a brilliant comedian and does not go crazy about how brilliant he is. So what do we have here? Huh? I'll start with this thing. To mention that this, if it's on YouTube, it's probably going to be a direct link, because it's not going to be on the database searchable or anything like that. I've taken every video of mine off listing, so it's unlisted. I might private them all too. Right now it's off listing. You can probably see it on the lists I made for them, but or the lists they are bookmarked on, wherever they're directly available through personal choice, I guess. But now, because I mean, usually their policy about advertising as not unlisted stuff, which is why, age restricted, for instance, doesn't get advertised on. They might break that rule with that, and if I find out something is being advertised on, and I'm not getting a cut, I'm just going to private it. I don't necessarily like the idea of deleting it all, because I spend all this time, over the years, just uploading shit, and it's a lot of time to totally eliminate, but I am going to slowly, this might be the last video I actually upload until they change their policies. And I recommend anybody else do it. I recommend if you watch a video, watch any YouTuber on there, that you recommend through a super chat or whatever you normally do with them, that they take, make a last video explaining this very thing too. Just the biggest crime. I mean, it's not even just demonetizing, it's like, basically, they started out as a company that monetized anything, to a company that won't monetize most things, and then goes ahead and on a bias, of course, and goes ahead and wouldn't, and just advertises on your stuff for free. Just say fuck that shit. I don't care if it makes the channel financially unviable. That's their fault. In many cases, they have the power to make any channel. They can boost any video and any channel they want, if they want it to be more viable. Well, the whole point was that these things weren't necessarily commercial, quote unquote, too. Because if I really wanted to, I wouldn't go onto an internet tube channel or anything like that if I wanted mainstream garbage. Then I'd have at least use a Amazon stick, or I'd watch cable or standard commercial television. I wouldn't be watching YouTube. Not even the competitors, such as they are. So, yeah, I don't think I'd want to waste my time on YouTube if I'm just going to be ripped off like that. Nah. Might as well be on Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute. There's really no point. And some people say there's audience reach, but not anymore, not so much. That's shifting away too. I mean, you might get a lot of subscribers at some early on, but now that's going to happen less, and even the people who subscribe, they're not necessarily watching every day. Even on the other stuff. Sometimes you get lost in someone's pile. And then a lot of people say, well, I'm not being suggested enough. Nah, you got lost in someone's pile. And that's how things go. You're not that important to some of these people who decide to. So they know where you are and who you are. I mean, they subscribe at some point. Usually they're wanting to their subscribers about that. Anyhow. see my past. Talk about a time delay. But at least the motion is working just fine and float. That's nice. It's kind of nice to see that too. It's not that delayed on there right now. Protect thyself, it's your right. Okay, I wrote this recently. I'll get into the nitty-gritty of the issue. Now, let's just look at gun control, shall we? It's permeated disgust that happens. Now, I think this is a good thing to be talking about. I mean, we can talk about COVID and COVID policy all we want and the new normal and stuff like that, but let's just remember the old normal wasn't so great, and maybe a good new normal isn't a bad thing. A new normal where there's more liberty is not a bad thing. If we're talking about a great reset that's more like a renaissance leading into an enlightenment, that's not a bad thing. The whole problem is what it is. So the association of who wants it. And so let's face it, we got some really nasty bureaucracy here, and that's what the Canadian Firearms Act is, a nasty bunch of bureaucracy designed to intimidate people into not wanting to even get a gun, because, I mean, knowing all this law and all these paperwork, you need a fucking lawyer just to get a fucking weapon to defend yourself. Oh yeah, and it's not even technically legal to defend yourself with it, too. Better off with a blade. But not a switchblade, because anything that projects out of a knife with a button, or out of a handle with a button, is forbidden, under this act, I believe. There are regulations under this thing that represents Aboriginal peoples and adaptation regulations, firearms. Oh, I love the side that it assumes the Aboriginals are illiterate. Whose fault will that be? I know this is silent right now, but bear with me. Traditional hunting practices. This is all about traditional hunting. What about the notion of a traditional self-defense? I mean, so they want natives to defend themselves. Just traditional hunting practices, which probably wouldn't have known with a firearm. Probably would be with a knife. Some sort. Stone even. This weapon was carried over the west. Authorization to carry restricted firearms and certain handguns regulation. This regulation exists. I'm not even sure. Although circumstances in which a individual needs restricted firearm or prohibited handguns for the purposes of Section 20. Let's give these people Section 8. For the purpose of Section 20, the circumstance of which an individual restricted firearm or prohibited handgun to protect the life of that individual or other individuals are where life of the individual or other individual is in imminent danger from one or more per individuals. The police protection is not sufficient in circumstance. Possession of a restricted firearm or prohibited handgun can reasonably be justified for protecting the individual or other individuals from death or grievous bodily harm. That's something they never tell you. Yeah. Then why is anything restricted or why isn't just violence restricted? Why would a gun be restricted? That doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, this is why you would carry a gun in the first place. This is ridiculous. Lawful possession or occupant for the purposes of Section 20 of the Act, the circumstance in which they need a restricted firearm or prohibited handgun or use in connection with this with a lawful profession or occupation are aware when the individual's activity in the handling, transporting, or protection of cash, negotiation, working in a remote wilderness, individual engaging in the occupation remote wilderness, so unless you shoot something that the conservation laws don't allow you to shoot because you're in imminent danger. I think some of these things conflict with each other too a bit. Find Section 20. That would be the best thing. So many of these other things end up going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Authorized transportation of firearms. Section 20. It's 21. 20. Carrying restricted firearms and February 14, 1995 handguns. An individual who holds a license authorizing the individual to possess restricted firearms or handguns, subsection 12, pre-December 1st, 1998, may be authorized to possess a particular restricted firearm or handgun at a place other than the place which is authorized to be possessed. Oh my god. I don't believe how crazy this shit is. It's not even written well. It's sort of half legalese right now. Protect the life of the individual authorized possessed if the individual needs the particular. They probably should hyperlink the other related laws in these sections. Search a firearm or handgun at a place other than the place at which it is authorized to be possessed if the individual needs the particular restricted firearm or handgun to protect the life of an individuals, or for use in connection with his or her lawful possession or occupation. Then why restrict it? Why in God's name restrict or regulate the weapons? All you need is a fucking law that says you can't attack somebody. That's all you need. You don't need all this bureaucratic bullshit in the justice laws. This is the Firearm Act. Move on to the Criminal Act. Authorization to carry. Yeah. Oh, this is that last thing I was reading here. Circumstances in which individual needs to restrict. They write out detailed circumstances, which is still kind of vague. I recommend reading this stuff yourself, actually. If you got the time and the mental, the stamina to, someone like Rocco Galati should probably do a whole assessment of these things. That'd be interesting to see on that website of his. A great thing for a civil liberty lawyer to hammer out. Did a pretty good job on my GoLiberty.org article. Get to that at some point. Yeah, protect thyself, it's your right. Now we get to the Bill C-46, firearms and other weapons in the Criminal Code. Ammunition means cartridge or containing a projectile, blah, 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 blah. Describing what a crossbow means. Fire off. Handgun. You'll notice that there's no reference to assault weapons in these definitions anywhere? There's not one definition of assault weapon I can see. And you kind of need that. You need that's even the bad laws have definitions in them. There's a handgun. Handguns are defined. There are imitation firearms. And something called a non-restricted firearm. I don't even see the term rifle. Oddly enough, mentioned it here. Replica firearm. And we go to, yeah, there's no machine gun listed as a reference. No automatic, not semi-automatic. There's no reference to any firearm other than a handgun as far as definition. But most importantly, there is no reference to assault rifle. So how does Trudeau ban 1,500 of something that has no definition in law? Certainly criminal law. How do you do that? A rifle isn't even there, so AR-15s aren't even regulated then in this case because it has no definition. Think about that when you get this audio or video version. I'd like to stop putting on Podbean, Spotify, and just do ThinkSpot as an audio location exclusively at some point. I mean, I still have some time on the upper. Well, I got to like January before I had to renew Podbean. So if you don't see it at Podbean, I'm at thinkspot.com. Well, those links are on my website. It'll go to Jester matters.com and blackjester.com. We'll likely have it there too under events and stuff. Yeah. Throat fucking tingles. Gotta improve my voice a bit. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, it's possible I'll just have this on ThinkSpot next year. I kind of have to renew my hosting next year, which is over 300 for another 3 years. Hopefully I can get some donations. I don't want to push anyone to do that though, but I mean, at least by the time I have to renew my host, it would be nice. But anyway, my website is probably more important than keeping Podbean up. Probably it is. I think Gab Plus is another 4 years, I think, after that. Yeah. Gab Pro, pardon me. Plus I'll be doing Minds Plus, but I was like 60 every so often. That feels good. So yeah, all these definitions, there's no mention of a rifle, machine gun, or anything, just handgun. And prohibited firearm means a handgun. Has a barrel equal to or less than 105 millimeter in length, or was designed or adapted to discharge with 25 or 32 caliber cartridge. Which means this pin I have here with the 44 Magnum. My pin over here, the 44 Magnum here. That gun would not be permissible because it shoots a 44. Well, wait a minute, no. Because it doesn't say 44, it says 25 or 32. So 44 would be fine. That's what that reads like, so. That's that crazy. Sometimes I think we're under a psychological law. We're convinced that we can't have certain things when we can. Does not include such handgun that is prescribed where the handgun is for use in international sports competitions governed by the rules of International Shooting Union. Oh yes, that's right. That's why you need a gun for sporting events. I wouldn't shit on sporting events per se. I mean, it's probably was Jefferson's favorite exercise and to focus the mind. But compared to defending yourself, that's nothing. Let's see. A firearm. This is B. The other thing, a firearm adapted from a rifle or a shotgun. And there it mentions shotgun, but there's no definition of a rifle or shotgun. So just remember up here in definitions, there's no mention of rifle or shotgun. So, lawmakers, what is the definition of a rifle or shotgun? Maybe they're talking about the consumer product definition. Well, I should be expanding this, shouldn't I? Pardon me. Let's scroll up there. Oh, firearm. No mention of a rifle or shotgun in definitions. Brilliant job, guys. But let's see, what was the other? Oh yeah, prohibited device. I'll get to that. Yeah, a firearm that is adapted from a rifle or shotgun, whether by swaying, sawing, cutting, or altering, and that is so adapted. It's less than 600 millimeter. I guess this is sawed-off shotguns regulation. An automatic firearm, whether or not it has been altered to discharge only one projectile with one pressure or trigger. Wait a minute. That was an automatic only will discharge one bullet. Oh, I see, whether or not it's altered for that. Any firearm that is prescribed or prohibited firearm, est prohibé. And we'll get to that in a minute. Prohibited device, any part of a weapon or accessory for use of the weapon that is prescribed to be prohibited device. So a prohibited device means a prohibited device in A. A handgun barrel that is equal to less than 105 millimeter in length, or does not include any such handgun barrel that is prescribed. Therefore, what? The handgun barrel is for use in international shooting competition, blah, 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 blah. Because apparently shooting competitors are special cases, not some woman being attacked in an alley. A device contrivance designed or intended to muffle or stop the sound or report of a firearm. A cartridge or magazine that is prescribed to be a prohibited device. A replica firearm. Replica firearms a prohibited device, apparently. That's weird. A cartridge magazine is prescribed a prohibited device contrivance intended to muffle or stop the sound of. Yeah, suppressors that muffle the sound. It doesn't make it silent, but it does make the tinnitus less likely. It's a less of a bang, but not no bang. That is what someone, you might say, someone who sees too many movies wrote that. And technically, I guess the silencer could work out as a or a suppressor may be allowed because it doesn't actually muffle sound. Except if people detain you for it, watch too much movies. Okay, prohibited weapon means, oh yeah, I've been to there. Prohibited device, prohibited firearm, prohibited weapon. A knife that has a blade that opens automatically by gravity or centrifugal force. Butterfly things. Or by hand pressure applied to a button, spring, or other device in or attached switchblade. Any weapon other than a firearm that is prescribed to be a prohibited weapon. Ami probe. Any other device. The whole point here is to prescribe it. It's insane. Prohibited order means an order use this act or any other act of parliament prohibiting a person from possessing any firearm, crossbow, prohibited weapon, restricted weapon, prohibited device, ammunition, prohibited ammunition, or explosive substance, or all such things. Now, I have a problem with this. This is what I call a natural right, and to defend yourself, and consider it a negative right. And I don't believe legislation or legislators or democracy has a right to stomp out individual liberty. Such individual liberty should never be stomped out by democracy, which includes acts of parliament. Liberty for all first. Registrar means the Registrar of Firearms appointed under Section 82 of the Firearms Act. Great. The assistance certificate means the registration of certificate issued under the Firearms Act. Oh, okay, well, just give me stuff I don't need to get to. Right, none specifically anyway. There's more definitions, more definitions, more definitions. Subsequent offenses. Barrel length, that's always fun, huh? Purpose of the barrel length is not really interesting. Use offenses, possession offenses, endless boring crap. There should be no such thing. There should just be murder, assault, violent acts committed, not just having a fucking weapon on yourself. Not even the switchblade should be prohibited. Trafficking offenses. Ooh, yeah, God forbid someone finds a way to get guns to people who need them to defend themselves because the government's got a thumb on the fucking store. Of course, you know, trafficking offenses wouldn't exist if the gun laws, well, if people obeyed the gun law, and no one ever murdered someone with an illegal weapon. But yes, they do murder people with an illegal weapon, which shouldn't exist. The act of murder should be illegal, and if you don't want them to have the gun after the murder, you make sure you convict them. Make sure they go to jail, they've been proven guilty, and then make sure they stay in jail as long as you want them to not have a gun. That's the proper way to do it. In fact, that's probably what you should think about when designing a sentencing structure, is how long do you not want this person to have a gun available to them? That would be a very good standard to work up on. Or how long do you want them not to be able to speak freely? How long do you wouldn't like them to have any of those negative rights? Export and import offenses. Offenses relating to lost, destroyed, and defaced weapons. So I think I'm not going to just try to avoid prohibition orders. Bullshit. Alright, basically, all that criminal law could be done with. This C-46 crap. It'd just be simple to say, don't murder people, don't attack people. I'm going to get to the nice nitty-gritty things, because British Columbia's got a Firearms Act itself. And what's really disturbing here is it's not just a Firearms Act. It's a fascistic act that gives cops an unbridled power. I can get into the definitions of things there too, but firearm includes using a propellant, compressed air, or explosives or gas. And here's what we gotta get into. Let's see, shoot permits of shooting or indoor shooting ranges. Necessary basic business permits from. I mean, why couldn't it be a regular business permit for a gun range? I mean, it's not like you can't sue them if something goes bad. I mean, it's not a vaccine making company. It's not exactly like you can't stop them from operating with a suit against them if there's an accidental shooting at a range or something. And accidents do happen, of course. Everyone slips in the bath. There are always people slipping in the bathtub. I'm always almost slipping in the bathtub here and there. Maybe we've got to ban bathtubs. Oh no, people are safe. People are in danger. Look at society playing these gummy floors in the fucking jungle gyms the kids go to. They could probably bounce onto the concrete from. Oh, that was terrible for my needle walk, huh? Because it turned the jungle gym to a zoo gym, I guess, in that case. The permits of shooting ranges is not what I'm looking for. Oh, yeah, right, section 4. Maybe 3 as well. Let's see. Oops. Did I? Okay. Gotta make sure my sound is still on. Okay. See, exercise is safety of others. Like a safety. Fuck that. I think the BC Firearms Act must be completely abolished. None of it's useful. Without a warrant, a conservation officer, or peace officer, which even means the mayor, a cop. Peace officer has got a vague meaning, by the way. Mayors are peace officers. I think firefighters even. There's a huge list of people who qualify as peace officers, which without a warrant, conservation officers or peace officer may do one or more of the following: search a person. The conservation officer or peace officer suspects of possessing a firearm. So let's say a cop doesn't like your face. Cop doesn't like your face. He says, well, I got a reason to suspect because I see a little bump here, you know, where that looks kind of gun-like, and I gotta search this guy. And that might be what happens out on the street in East Vancouver with this stop checks. They're probably just stopping, you know, people saying, I don't like this guy's face, I don't like his skin color, whatever. All that happens. Sometimes it's the nub, sometimes it's the bump in the nose they don't like. Whatever it is they don't like about you, they say, well, I saw a nudge on this. Well, so we decided to embarrass the hell out of him and search him, in a part of our little harassment campaign against him, or whatever. Or let's say someone has a political history of defending gun rights. And that could be a libertarian, a conservative. It could even be a socialist, like Sharon Gregson, who was a school board trustee at one point over here in Vancouver. She was a farthest left person you've ever seen on the cover of a magazine, a gun magazine. Let's see, B. Stop and search a conveyance mentioned in Section 9 okay, Section 9, let's see, I'll check that later. We'll go back to this. Section 9. In or which the conservation officer or peace officer suspects a firearm being carried in a contravention of this act. You imagine if the mayor gets hissy and decides to kick your and knock on your door and search your house. Especially if you're a competitor at some point. Um, C is seize the firearm and dispose of it under the act. I don't know. And that's still seizure without a warrant. So search and seizure without a warrant. Arrest of person in act of committing of offense. I should be doing a Russian voice again. Without a warrant. Kind of screwed it up. 5. Without a warrant, a conservation officer or constable may arrest a person. The conversation. Pardon. May arrest the person, the conservation officer or constable, in the act of contravening this act or regulations. Got a problem with that too. There should be a fucking warrant to arrest someone. It should prove the very minimum to a judge that there's some reason to believe this guy has violated the law. I mean, why not just let him? Why not just let them walk them away and shoot them in the back of the head like John Bush? Spaghetti-O. Remember John Bush up north? Was it up north? Yes. A constable made his brain splatter all over the place. Just because we sat outside of a police station with a beer. Now, I understand the rules. They do say he's a white guy, but I understand because if you are ever brutalized by the police, you're considered black. That is my understanding. So I guess he's still a black shooting. That's a good way to keep the numbers up in certain important areas of demographics. Now let's see, we'll go into 9 here. Where it says, unless unauthorized by the regulations or a permit, a person must not discharge a carry or have in-person possession or in or on a railway car, that's a real recent thing, hand car, or other vehicle on the railway. Hand car. I have a whole... I don't want to start that. I remember what a fucking hand car is. Or in or on a motor vehicle, wagon, sleigh, aircraft, bicycle. Bicycle! Let's say if he can manage to keep the bicycle going with a AR-15, I think you let him go because he's got a lot of talent there. Or other conveyance, a firearm containing live ammunition in its... How would you know? Well, I guess I just assume, because I got unlimited search and seizure powers. A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense. Oh, wait, that's just nice. Subsection 2. So what we have here, stop and search the conveyance, mentioned in subsection 9, which is basically any vehicle, in or which the... This is when I started supporting bicyclists, by the way. Yeah. Any conveyance, section 9, or which the conservation officer or peace officer suspects a firearm being carried. Suspects. So what would be his reason for suspecting you, right? The search, well, we've been through this before. Doesn't like your face. Thinks you're suspicious. He's thought your eyes were going back and forth. Just like that, That evil dog and The Simpsons and stuff. Huh? Just said that evil dog just going, putting the eyes back and forth, back and forth. He doesn't know I'm up to something, does he? Your Honor, his skin color looks suspicious, so I decided to search him for a weapon. I did not need a warrant for this. Of course, being a systematically racist country, I don't know why judges would even approve of that. I mean, wouldn't they want to be in on it too? And I'm going to get nasty comments in the title from humorless right-wingers. But yeah, think about that. You're riding around in your van, let's say a milk truck. And they open it up, they see a kid naked, but they don't care about that. They're looking for a gun. You're not supposed to laugh at your own jokes, but it's more like laughing at what probably actually happens. We can't stop these pedophiles. We don't have time. We gotta get these guns. Just think about this crazy shit, though. I mean, the British Columbia officials can be busting up your stuff, your person, just because they suspect, just because you look to them like you're suspicious. You have a gun. Blah, blah, blah. This is real Patriot Act type shit, you know? But it's not even at an airport. You just think about that. Can you imagine being the guy that the cop doesn't like? Well, I mean, a lot of us have been there. Imagine with COVID, I mean, instead of a mask, maybe the guy says, well, I don't want to get in trouble because Rebel News might get crazy about this. If I do contact Rebel News or somebody like that, people like that, if this sort of thing happens, because they might actually put up a fight, whatever for you. You never know. I mean, it's because this is something, this is probably something like I have Drea watch for, because this is, I don't know, Firearm Acts are in DC, or in Alberta, and so on. I understand there's some regression. It's even in Alberta, and of all places, and so on. The conservatives, huh? You think there'd be like one province, you have no holds barred, freedom of religion, freedom of self-defense, freedom of everything, like a free state place. I thought the Free State Project, or Free Province Project, ideal in a place like Alberta, but I guess not. It's not Ralph Klein's Alberta anymore. He's the one that brought privatized liquor, and he'd be spinning in his grave right now. He would be spinning in his grave, Ralph Klein. It's a fucking shame. I lived in Ralph Klein's Calgary. That was a nice time. It's a nice part of my childhood. Enjoyed the arcades, and it was a fun place. Well, Calgary still is a place of fun when there isn't COVID hysteria, I guess. But yeah, wildlife, blah blah blah. Anyway, just to think about this. Searching. You can be searched. Like, so someone looks and they don't want to get in trouble with a fine article or something like that, and they say, "Oh, I want to get him for something," because I don't like what he's wearing, not wearing a mask. But I don't know. I just search him anyway because I thought there'd be a gun there. and he decides to search you. Maybe cops a feel. And it said, "Oh, I thought I saw a bump down there, miss." Or she. Or she. Um, doesn't like your politics. Knows you ran on policies they don't like. Me, myself, I run against gun control and against police brutality. And searches like this. And that might give some asshole cops a reason to do it. An excuse, attempt to try and do it. Of course, I'd probably make a lot of noise. That's not necessarily necessary, but they probably wouldn't find anything necessarily, but that's not the point. The point isn't what they would find. The point is how they try to find it. And the reasons why. And the reason you get a warrant, right, is you have to justify why you suspect a person. That is what a warrant is. A warrant is to justify to a judge why you suspect a person. And hopefully you even get a little chance to have a lawyer there to defend your own interests, or at least yourself. And things like that. This bullshit right here is just, I don't know, some of us have reasonable, unwarranted search. It allows a law enforcement agent or a peace officer, it allows them to, it just allows them to get away with bullying, essentially, and allows them to violate your rights and stuff like that on any flimsy level of evidence. Allows them to humiliate you in public and things like that. Treat you like a common criminal. And that's why this thing has to be abolished. The BC Firearms Act, it can't be, there's nothing here worth keeping. It really isn't. And this unwarranted shit is even worse. And there's nothing worth keeping in the Canadian Firearm Act or any of the related acts. There's nothing worth keeping in the criminal code pertaining to guns either. What is worth keeping is laws that say don't rape, don't murder, don't steal, don't defraud, things like that. And laws, more importantly, that require extraordinary evidence to punish an individual who is not on government duty from... and let's look at everything, huh? Who kills more people than anybody? It's the people who pass these laws. It's the institutions that enforce these laws. It's government. And it's the legislators. They're the ones out there with its war, whether it's war, and places with the death penalty, and some people have extraordinarily tense mailmen. They cause this stuff to happen. They murder more people than any mass shooting has ever done. Especially the war stuff. Now, how many guns did Trudeau send to Saudi Arabia and other places to help them cleanse a population? Huh? Old Justin there decided to send guns to a place where... I mean, can a madman in a Saudi army have a gun from Canada, but I cannot? A perfectly law-abiding citizen? Well, I guess I probably could qualify if I wanted to do all the paperwork. Or whatever. But, I mean, let's say, paperless ownership. I am not for registration. I'm not for licensing. It's your right to defend yourself, period. You've got to be proven neglectful at least in the court of law, beyond a reasonable doubt. Actually cause harm, or even done something stupid like shoot up in the air, and be sentenced to some sort of restriction by a judge because of that. After being proven guilty, of course, depending on the harm, And the sentence should equal the amount of days, months, years you want them to not have a gun. Because these negative rights kind of revert when you get released from jail. That's why I don't want pedophiles ever to be allowed out of jail. That should be a forever thing. Did Justin and them, any of the parliamentarians in there, pass a law that makes pedophiles go to jail forever? I got a petition out there on change.org for this sort of thing. You might see it somewhere in my social media history. Various groups and stuff. Petition. Anyway, and by the way, no one's trying to make us register our dicks, by the way, and there's a lot of damage done forcing dicks in people. Well, I'm sure feminists would have argued that would be a good idea. I guess we got birth certificates with male on it. So we got gun laws that help rapists. This is a lot easier to rape if no one's going to shoot back. Rapists and pedophiles, they don't have to go to jail for their entire life and burial, which is exactly what I want. Predatorial criminals like that have to be dealt with. Now, I think we need to see I don't know, it showed up, but it worked out pretty well. The motion was pretty good. When I originally did this, Flote was pretty jaggedy. It's on what is it? Yeah, real-time media player. You basically got the real media protocol, I guess. That was a pretty terrible thing. Oh look, I can see myself inside myself inside myself. Oops, did I thump that? Anyway, yeah. They won't put away people who do horrible things with their dicks a long, 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 long time. But but you can be treated like a criminal if someone just suspects you got a gun. That brings me to the end with this. Wonderful optics Facebook, huh? Facebook literally shut down a End Child Trafficking Worldwide Now group. I don't know, maybe some liar said they had something to do with QAnon or something. I have no idea. If QAnon's against child trafficking, I don't know why I'd complain about them that much. I mean, pick your battles. You really want to die on this hill, Facebook, where you're basically saying you support child trafficking? You really want to say that? That's the optics here. It's like when I said hug it. I don't know. It was a thing where I said love thy neighbor. With some hashtags that are baiting. but I actually got Facebook to say they opposed "Love Thy Neighbor" by um, doing that shit by and doing this with a post of mine. They actually took the bait. I couldn't believe it. How stupid do you have to be? Now, you might want to go to goliberty.org and read "Protect Thyself, It's Your Right." And on some other score, yeah, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's on Minds Plus as well, through my Minds account. You probably go there to my Minds account soon and see it. If you might be there right now, if you're watching this on Minds Plus. After I finish the stream, that's probably the first place I'll upload. So anyway, yeah, that's where I see the. Oops. I'm gonna hide my ugly mug. Damn it, man. This OBS thing's bothersome sometimes. I think you might have seen you might have seen the address up there. Of course, if you're looking at it. I mean, if you're not looking at it, then... Well, I'll just get rid of that window now. And you can go to itemshop.org, get a shirt like that with the death riding the money through blood, I guess. Certainly a blood-red background. It's called Death of Money. I don't know, so it's Death of Money or Monetary Policy. I guess I called it Monetary Policy, not be preachy about it. I guess I screwed that up. Well, not everyone will know it's anything but monetary policy. Same thing though, right? So if you believe in ending the Fed and stuff like that, you might want to wear that. It's a decent illustration, and it spells out the issues pertaining to current problems. That's itemshop.org. And you can go to, there's a link on my site for Rip Van, great treats from a Dutch cultural background. Oddly enough, kind of cool. Dutchman actually won the Formula One thing. Actually, my hopes was that the Dutch would win the World Cup, and a Hungarian would actually win. A real Magyar would actually win Formula One by now. But well, whatever. Euro Cup's coming, and both sides of my family have a team in it, so that's interesting. Anyway, this is have a happy Black Jester History Day, and I hope you enjoy yourselves. The stream experiment worked out this time, so maybe I will go and float again. So the gaming stuff, still want to try and get myself banned on Twitch, but I guess it requires people to be around to flag you. So if you don't have enough viewers, you're not going to eventually not going to get mobs of flagging. Maybe if I out and out speak out against Pokemon-y. Oh no! Stain in my eye. All right. Good night, day, morning, evening, and so on. Remember to like the stuff you like, and dislike the stuff you dislike, and share, stuff you really like other people to see. Hell, even if you don't like what you see, you may want other people to see it so they can also dislike what they see. I'm not going to judge. You do what you're going to do. Share it on any platform. Even run it through. Get trends if you want. All I care. Oh, whatever. Do as you will. All right. Later.